This is KBOI-2 News Midday.
Well, thank you for joining us for KBOI-2 News Midday. I'm Brian Moore, and let's get right to your top 11 stories at 11. Bo Bergdahl will be charged. Prosecutors say he left his unit in Afghanistan and became a prisoner of the Taliban for 5 years. He's charged with desertion and misbehavior before an enemy. The second charge carries a sentence of life in prison if convicted.
Misbehavior before the enemy by endangering the safety of a command, unit, or place.
And as you just heard, putting fellow troops in danger is part of that charge. A number of soldiers serving with Bergdahl say 6 troops actually were killed looking for him. And as Bo Bergdahl prepares to face those charges, he is answering questions surrounding his disappearance. A new letter from Bergdahl contains the first public statements he's made since his release last summer. He talks about the conditions he was kept in and his treatment by the Taliban. Specifics coming up in a few moments. And when Bergdahl disappeared in 2009, people in his hometown of Haley threw their support behind the missing soldier and his family. Now we're learning more about the case. Reaction in Haley is mixed.
Well, I think the important thing to remember here is that these are just charges. He still has the benefit of a trial that may or may not even happen.
He was not a prisoner of war. He was a deserter. He was captured by the enemy because he left his post, he left his base. He would have never been caught if he had done his job and followed the orders that he was there for. But when you desert, 5 years in a POW in that part of the world, that's his fault.
A local commissioner in Haley says the community will continue to focus on supporting the Bergdahl family during this time. Idaho State Police Major Clark Rollins has been placed on administrative leave following his arrest for drunk driving. A Meridian police officer says he witnessed Rollins driving down the road drinking a beer, so he performed a traffic stop. Rollins failed the standard field sobriety test. He's charged with DUI and possession of an open container. In court today, the attorney for Adam Deese has withdrawn and a public defender has been appointed. Deese is the only man facing charges in connection to the murder of the Welp family. Deese is charged with grand theft and forgery. He was allegedly using credit cards belonging to the victims. Ted, Elaine, and Tom Welp were laid to rest yesterday afternoon. And a French prosecutor says the co-pilot of the Germanwings plane that crashed into the French Alps this week appeared to want to destroy that plane. He says the co-pilot was alone at the controls and intentionally sent the plane into the doomed descent. He made his move when the pilot left the cockpit to use the restroom.
Voluntary, he refused to open the door, and he turned the button to get down the plane.
French prosecutor says you can hear passengers screaming right before the plane hit the side of the mountain. How horrifying. 150 people on board are presumed dead. 2 tornadoes touched down in Oklahoma, killing 1 person and leaving tens of thousands without power. We will have much more on the devastation in a few moments. And a bill giving Uber the green light in Idaho is on its way to the governor's desk. The legislation allows the ride-sharing company to bypass city ordinances and operate the way it wants to. Boise City leaders say Uber's background checks are not strict enough. The service stopped operating in Boise last month after it could not reach a compromise with the city. A new bill is headed to the House Transportation Committee aimed at finding new money for Idaho roads. Now, as written, it would raise registration fees. Motorcycles would be an extra $6. Cars and trucks would go up by $15. If you drive a hybrid, you'll be charged $100. And if you have an electric car, you could end up paying an extra $150 more. Crews in Nevada are working on some major cleanup after a train carrying hazardous materials goes off the tracks. The crash happened about 90 minutes northeast of Reno. 48 cars in all left the rails, spreading debris over a 300-yard-long area. Authorities say no hazardous leaks have been detected. Well, Tree Fort officially underway in Boise, and this year's music festival is a big success. This is the 4th year of the event. Now get this, it's grown from 140 bands to 430 bands. In the first year, it sold 2,000 week passes. This year, it surpassed 5,000 week passes.